just come in and say sorry about the.
Okay. Are we back?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Let me just get this tweet on here real quick. Okay, we're back live. Stream died a little bit. Hopefully you guys are back. We'll give you a second to get back in there. Yeah, when you do this remote thing, man.
Yeah. Internets.
Yeah, you just got to worry about that. That's why we, upgraded to top notch.
Yeah.
Back at the studio, which is definitely just not in someone's house.
Absolutely not.
100% not.
Okay, so back to what we were talking about. We were talking about how the Thunder did a good job limiting the Warriors' three-point attempts. They only got 26 off. They were 7 for 26 from three, but they had 48 attempts in the paint to the Thunder's 37. The Warriors were 29 of 48 in the paint, where the Thunder were 17 of 37. It is a little striking when you look at the box score, and the Thunder take 37 threes to the Warriors' 26 threes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because that's philosophy? As far as the Thunder are trying to get off more threes now because they're worth more points, simple as that, or is they just couldn't get good shots like the Warriors were getting.
It almost feels like to me like the Warriors know we can't shoot, and they're giving them that shot.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't help when Paul George, who is your best three-point shooter, goes 4 of 12.
Especially in that
we know
first
that
half.
he's better. We know that he's better than 4 of 12 from the beyond the arc. And
he was being forced into some long, he particularly was being forced into some longer threes, like some just really awkward off the dribble stuff. And
yeah, he looked like he was leaning into it, he never got a chance to really set. If I had told you that the Thunder would outshoot the Warriors from beyond the arc by, granted, it's 0.1%, but and we're still under
though.
30 and still under 30%.
Still though.
But here's the thing that's worrisome about that to me is that, and I think if I want to pull something negative from this game, because I think that you can make a case that most everything was positive as far as keeping it close. You played the Warriors really tight on ring night. Well, here's what's worrisome to me. The offense never really looked good outside of Paul George really going off in that third quarter. They shoot 36.3% from the field, and that is on the heels of a preseason where the Thunder had the second worst field goal percentage of any NBA team in the preseason, which was 40.4%. And they shot 36.3% last night. Everyone's worried about the shooting. Can this team create good shots? Are they going to? I know Russell Westbrook helps a ton, obviously, but Dennis Schroeder should be capable of this too. And I know it's early. But it feels like if they can't do it right now, they're not going to be able to do it without Russell Westbrook.
I don't know that I agree with that part, but what Billy talked about at Media Day was that the Thunder needed to find an identity. That's what they wanted to work on in training camp. I don't know that it's fair to say, hey bud, you had a few weeks. What do you guys ready to
Sure.
Do you have that defined? It's something that they're going to have to work on through the season, but Russ is a big part of that. You're taking out the guy who's going to have the ball in his hand
the number one
majority of the time, right?
Yep.
And so I don't know, that's just really tough, but that was one of the takeaways that I had as well, was just the lack of identity so far. And I don't know how fair that is without Russ to sort of to kind of knock them for that, but it would be nice. I think ideally you want the Spurs setup, right? Because whoever goes out, the next guy comes in, and it's like, holy cow, he might be a little bit better. It's at sometimes, right? But we just don't. Most organizations don't have that, and the problem with the Thunder is even whenever you have Russ, it's typically you're gonna either get like a high pick and roll, and if it doesn't work, it's gonna be like, get the ball to Russ, you're going to have to do something, or Paul George, you're going to have to bail us out. So even with Russ, that was the knock. That's why they need to find an identity. And the problem is whenever you don't have that, whenever Russ is out, it looks the exact same way. And that's the biggest issue, and that's why they have to figure that part out.
So where does that come from? Is that just the makeup of the roster, having guys that aren't good passers, aren't great dribblers, aren't good at exploiting kind of the weaknesses in the defense, because that's what it feels like to me. You don't really have those guys on this team. You have a guy like Patrick Patterson who can keep the ball moving. He's more of a swing man and can catch and shoot. You have Steven Adams who, does a great job. He's a really good player. But then without Robertson, who is actually pretty good at keeping the offense moving, he actually really helps out.
And moving himself.
Right. He's honestly one of the team's probably best passers. Probably the top 4 passer on the team is Andre Robertson, which is crazy to say. Now he doesn't garner the respect, to respect his jump shot and create a driving lane and maybe drive a kick, whatever.
Crazy
he's not
skillful passing. It's just like he's moving the ball.
Stays within himself. So they're working with limited capabilities here. That's the tough part. But then the other thing, when you go back to the shooting, dude, you left a lot of points at the line again. 24 for 37, 65%. Hello darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, that's true.
Same thing, man. Like it felt they were shooting well early.
Delayed.
Hello, darkness, my
Thank you.
friend.
But the Warriors, 17 for 18 from the line. Now, you can look at a lot of stats we just put out there, and you can see kind of why the Thunder lost this game, right? I mean, these free throws, you gotta figure that out, man.
Yeah.
Imagine how different that game is whenever you're down 2 with minutes left and you're shooting so bad from the free throw line. Like it changes how the end of the game is played out.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just that's a thing we hoped was fixed this season. Just maybe it was the thing that was in their heads last year, and then you come in and it's kind of still the same thing. And maybe it'll improve, but I'm kind of tired of having hope for it. At this point, it's like, what's going on?
5 for 8 for Paul George, 5 for 8 from Steven Adams. Yeah.
Which is pretty decent for Steve.
I think, yeah, but
which is sad.
You've still got to be better.
Yeah, just be better.
Got to be better. Got to have nights where you're better. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to come back and haunt you a little bit. But going back to the thing where you talk about having players that can exploit the defense and stuff, well, that brings us right to the conversation of Terrance Ferguson and his role on this team. And he was, I think all of us assumed he was going to be the starter while Andre Robertson is out. He is the starter. It's just one game. We have to clarify everything we've said. We should have said it at the very top.
Just
hey guys,
a game.
Just one game.
One single game.
Just one game.
Still October.
And yeah, it's still October. And
was it the 17th?
It's an emotional game though. It is the
Thursday.
Warriors. It's the Thunder's most hated rival, in which it's hard to call it a rivalry right now, but especially when no Russell Westbrook on the court, it's not a rivalry. But it is. It's a hated team. You want to win that game. You want to just shut them up. They're so annoying, right?
I agree.
But Terrance Ferguson starts. Not much from Ferguson. He played 26 and a half minutes, 0 for 2 from the field.
Say not much offensively.
4 rebounds, 1 assist.
So I got something interesting here. I looked at touches because it just seemed like when Ferguson was, for the most part, especially in the first half, when
he didn't even know he was on the floor.
When he was on the court, you couldn't tell. So just in touches, Ferguson played 26 and a half minutes, 11 touches in the entire game. Wow. You look at Diallo.
That seems hard to do.
You look at Diallo, who played 8 minutes and 37 seconds, 9 touches in the game.
Wow.
Damn,
like, it's
crazy.
just something to be said. And I have Abrinas here, too, who played 23 and a half minutes, 19 touches. So 8 more than Ferguson. And so there is, you just said it, it's one game. You don't want to overreact. But whenever you see him just kind of lackadaisical, like not really trying to get engaged in the game.
No cuts.
Yeah, nothing really. And then you see Diallo come in there, and he does. He has that really nice cut.
Yeah.
And in limited minutes, he sort of had a bigger impact on that game. And Ferguson, it was just like, where are you? What's going on?
Yeah, and I will bring back up like his defense, though. I felt like he did play really well against Klay Thompson. I mean, Klay went 5 for 20, which wasn't all Ferguson, but when Hammy was in there on Klay, he was, he was jumping up and down every time he pump faked.
And that's going to be a thing.
And I think that's where Billy keeps leaning back on Ferguson and saying, the person you're replacing is just defense.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get too far ahead of where we're at in the season, but
yeah.
It wouldn't be Diallo. Like, I don't know at what point, if this continues, do you look at maybe trying Abrinas? Because even Abrinas was more aggressive in trying to.
And maybe you don't even have to do that. Maybe you just don't have to play Ferguson 26 and a half minutes.
Right.
And only play Abrinas 23 and a half and only play Diallo 8 and a half.
Well,
because one thing I like about Diallo, man, is he finds the ball, like you're saying, and when he finds the ball, he attacks the defense. He knows where to go. He doesn't just freak out. Like you see when Ferguson catches that wide open 3 that would have been a massive 3 if he makes it.
Oh, God, it would have been so awesome.
Wide open, great opportunity. Most NBA players that are 3-point shooters knock that shot down. And it was one of the biggest bricks you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Huge brick.
The other thing I looked at was passes because this team does not move the ball well enough. And then you look at Ferguson, he 6 passes that he made. Diallo, again, in way less time, 8 minutes and 37 seconds, passed the ball 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
He passed it 1 less time in the entire game than Ferguson did. And then you look at Abrinas, who passed it 10 times. And so I just think those other 2 guys are just more active on offense and doing better. I agree, Jason, like defense, a huge step up in regards to what Ferguson was providing because he does have that extra year. Diallo is going to need a little bit of time to be able to
I do
be
think
that
there's
good,
a pretty
but
wide gap there defensively for sure.
But it's almost it feels a similarly wide gap offensively though. Like you're saying, like Diallo's passing is really nice. Like it's like when he's attacking, he's able to just kick it back out really quick.
And he's confident
Yeah,
for
it's just
whatever
like he feels
reason.
like he knows what he's doing offensively. Where Ferg still, I don't know if he's completely confident in his offensive game yet.
Yeah, he's definitely
Which,
not.
Again, one game.
But also to me, it is one game. But also we have a little preseason to go off of, and we even have summer league to go off of with Ferguson's offensive game, and he's just not a confident offensive player right now. Like you'd think in summer league he'd have some confidence. Like I played a lot of valuable minutes.
I just have to interject this real quick. T from YouTube just said that Randall is absolutely cooking Melo off the bench right now, and I just thought that was hilarious.
Perfect.
He is a great guy, but it's just funny.
one more thing, and I don't want to beat the Ferguson thing into the
Just
ground, but
beat
I'm going to
it.
add one more thing. The player impact estimate, it's a statistical category that that takes into, it's kind of like plus and minus. It just takes more into account what you do statistically while you're on the floor. It's not necessarily who scores, how many points are scored while you're on there. But Ferguson was the only negative for his in that category for the Thunder.
And you're saying it kind
yeah.
of like looks at your stats.
Yeah,
because he didn't really have any.
It's what you do statistically.
in
But
anything.
I mean, that's to that point though. He played 26 and a half minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
He should have something in there.
Yeah.
I think right now, if you're Billy, you have to stick with Ferguson for a minute.
Yeah.
Let
For
him
sure.
play it out. Give him a chance to make it up. I mean, you're playing the Warriors, like we said, right? You're playing the
I
Warriors.
mean, he's
at
going
Golden
against
State.
one of the best shooters of all time
Right.
defensively. I think that leans to something like where offensively I'm probably not going to have that much effort. Like,
Yeah, and Clay's a good defender too. Like he's not. He's probably going to intimidate Ferguson a little bit, but that's what makes Diallo's 9-minute performance so special to me is that he doesn't show that. He doesn't cower to it. Imagine your first NBA game going to the defending two-time defending champions 3 out of the last 4 years, and you go in there on their home court and you go play and it seems what Diallo did.
Comfortable.
It's going to be a lot of fun watching that guy.
Yeah.
Progress. I feel really good about Diallo.
It's a weird so with Diallo, I feel like he kind of went in like, okay, you know what? I'm a rookie. Worst case scenario, like I'm just not going to play a whole bunch. I sit on the bench. I watch things happen. Get a year better. We'll see what happens next year. With Ferguson, I've been here a year. They took me in that first round. They specifically selected me. I have a lot to prove. I've been here for a year. I don't want to fuck this up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that's so much in Ferguson's head and going up against Klay Thompson and trying to step up into a role, be the starter with Alex Abrinas out. And just he got so much in his own head, I'll just play the defense. Offense will come to me. I do think that when Russ comes back, Ferguson will look better. I think you can get him into kind of the Andre Robertson sets where he cuts. But until then, he's just been stagnant and he's got to get better.
Yeah.
Well, with the
Also, he's concussed still, possibly.
That's
You
it.
never know.
That's it. He was so
just concussed,
He
guys.
didn't know where he was.
with all the news about the Thunder coaches loving Ferguson and just how he's a sponge and how anything they tell him he does.
Why aren't they telling him to cut then?
Right. So that
just
makes
kidding.
that was
But
kind of along the lines of my point. So are they telling him hey, just focus on defense, let offense come to you, just kind of you don't have to do much, just kind of let the other. That's what it seems like, right? If all that, if you add all the pieces together, that's kind of what it seems like is happening here.
Well, especially going back to when Russ is back, that takes the offensive burden off of everyone. You've got Russ, you've got Paul George. If you're out there with the starters, just focus on defense, man. And
Well,
like what things come to you as the season progresses where you do feel comfortable and you won't make those mistakes, but focus on the defensive end. We know you're good at it. Just go ball out there.
Well, that's something that's been documented in a couple articles. And I know Brett's talked about this. Brett Dawson has talked about this a little bit. Is Billy's been telling these guys, don't worry about offense. Like, do the things that are going to keep, like the things that are going to keep you on the floor are defense, rebounding, like the little stuff.
Yep.
And just do those. So, I mean,
that's how the Thunder build their team.
It's just kind of encouraging that Hammy could maybe do both.
Agreed. Totally agreed. And it's honestly, like, I think one encouraging thing, too, to take away from last night's game is, man, this bench should be really good.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about Noel and the impact he made in his 12 limited minutes. We talk about Grant and, he wasn't great offensively, but he had some nice moments defensively. Boxing out, not great. But he had
maybe
a couple,
work on that
had a couple blocks at the rim where he made it really hard on guys. Then you put Schroeder on that bench, and you
also that block by Schroeder was badass.
Yep. Had a couple blocks, right? And then Abrinas was not hesitant. He was not shy. And he was 3 for 9? 3 for 8? What was Abrinas from 3? 2 for 6. 2 for 6.
Read words.
Or you mean numbers?
Yep. 2 for 6.
There's a cat out there. Yeah, there's a cat walking by out there.
Oh.
Just a stray cat.
Thought you said cow, and that would have been way more strange.
Or that would have been more exciting, actually. But it is nice to see Abrinas go out there. He was 3 for 8 from the field, by the way, 2 for 6 from 3. It is nice to see him not shy, actually get some shots up.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Again, put the ball on the floor, get to the hoop once.
Kind of seems like he should have been on the floor to close the game, though. I mean,
Little
because
bit.
the Thunder could not score.
Yeah.
They just couldn't score. They need options. Like, when your option is 2 guys, hey, one of you go score, you need a little help there.
Yeah.
You go back to that Ferguson 3 that he bricks the hell out of. Abrinas hits that, right?
You at least feel good about it. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else? Anything else we got from this game?
So no TLC at all, which I thought was really interesting. Like, we heard so much like, this guy was a starter in Philly, and like he's got potential. He's already NBA ready, and he doesn't see the floor at all. Like, now, granted, maybe that's part of just the fact that he hasn't been with his team a whole lot. Like, Billy doesn't really know how to deploy him quite yet. Kind of waiting it out. Maybe there's
been here as long as Hammy has.
Maybe there's something to. That's a good point. Maybe there's something physically with him that just like they don't want to disclose or whatever it might be. But
maybe he's just not that good.
No minutes is weird.
Yeah, it to me it just seems like. Again, I keep going back to it, but that Billy Donovan game plan just seems so clear cut to me. It just seems like.
And this might be a thing where he says before the game. I mean, he did this in a preseason game where he's like, "Hey, you're not playing tonight."
Yeah.
And he's just like, "I'm going to get a look at these other guys." Because without Russ, I mean, does he really expect to win that game? I mean, they did a lot better than I expected. That's for sure.
And I guess if you're Billy and you do this and you create a game plan and you stick to that game plan and it's game 1 of the season, that's probably the best way to analyze film, to get some data down and get to know your guys, rather than, game 1 and it's the end of the game and you're down 4 and you're like, man, I could play the matchups right here. You totally abandon your game plan to play the matchups. You still lose, and you're like, well, what really happened? And then people are blaming you because you made whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Like it. The more you think about it, it's one game. It hurts because the Thunder did keep it close, and you would have liked to see them put a little bit better of an offensive game together. But Friday, you guys feel okay about Friday? At the Clippers. Decent team. Probably not a playoff team. Probably a playoff team in the East, though. Clippers need a playoff team in the East?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Not an easy game, especially without Russ. I mean,
I feel like the Clippers are going to be pretty decent this year. I mean, they've pretty much completely turned over everything, and I think Doc probably has the ear of people in the locker room again, like he kind of lost before. And then, I mean, just going against Patrick Beverley any night's going to be a pain in the ass.
You wonder if they bring back Russ for that. Probably not.
I would just probably let him. I'd probably play this road trip out and then bring him back on the home opener or something like that.
Oh yeah, and that'll be cool.
Yeah, that I think that would be badass.
They win the game without Russ?
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll win
should.
the game.
I mean, looking at how they played the Warriors, like I feel pretty good about it.
This team just has to shoot the ball better, man. Like that's if they can't shoot better than 40% on a nightly basis, that's going to be worrisome to me because you're relying a lot on your defense, and Man, if you have to just sit there and buckle down every defensive possession all year,
82, that's going to be a lot.
it's going to be strenuous, and it's going to wear you down.
It does feel like the defense can get it done, though. Like I said, I saw a lot of great things that I think are going to translate through all 82 games. Like, I like what this defense can do, and I think this defense will be called on to bail the offense out quite a bit. And
They were last night,
think
that's
it's
for sure.
I think it's going to work out.
Fair.
Yeah.
I agree.
Hot take.
They're gonna have to.
Who?
They're gonna have to lean on defense because it's not like. I mean, this is the team that we knew was coming in. They were going to struggle to shoot the ball for the most part, and so that's not going away unless it's so bad that they just Presti feels like he has to make a move. Like that's not. They're gonna have to figure it out with these pieces, and hopefully guys will knock down shots. But for the most part, they're gonna have to lean on defense.
Yeah. And go ahead, Justin.
Oh, I was going to say hot take for you guys. Just based on the defense, what I saw last night, I think the Thunder will have at least one double-digit win streak this season.
Ooh. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Thunder have ever done that, have they?
It'll have to be
A
early.
10-game win streak?
Yeah.
They've had at least one. Kevin Durant days.
Think so?
I think they had at least one.
I don't remember one.
The easiest part, I mean, it's going to have to be early with Russ coming back. The schedule it's most likely going to have to be early on in the season, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope so. That would be fun.
Well, before we get to social media inquiries, and I'll let Jason get that ready, I just want to close it with this. Hamidou Diallo was a team high +5 in the box score.
Oh,
Just to rile all the
everyone
listeners
is
up.
going nuts right now. It's October. Calm down.
Yeah. Why isn't he playing over Ferguson? What's the deal here? I mean, I get it, though. You watch, he looks like he's better right now. So I get it. I get why people are mad, because he looks like he's better right now.
He's more fun, too.
What you talking about, man? No, I agree.
Social media inquiries.
All right, we got a handful of questions from you guys. Appreciate those, as always. Let's get to them.
We doing the visual thing? Okay. No. I didn't think so. I just wanted to make sure. Starting off from Ben Burke at Ben_Burke10. What's the best burger in OKC and where it from?
Ooh. This
That's
is
a
tough.
one.
Yeah, I haven't. There's a lot of new burger places, but I think they're like chain burger places, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've really explored.
Actually, I have an instant answer for this. It's just Nick's Grill.
thought you were gonna say Brahms.
No,
I was going to say,
You like really? That's like
it's so good. Like
I've had it
Nick's,
once a long
not
time
Nick's
ago.
Place, not the place. Like it's good, but
not
there's
the
like
tiny one.
No, the tiny one is the
Okay.
one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See,
So
that,
he
I went
built
to
a
that
new
once, and
place.
you couldn't even eat it with your hands. Though.
Yeah, it's just. Like,
so I was
just
like,
so
it didn't
greasy,
feel. It
but-
didn't feel like a burger.
And it goes through your system, or at least my system,
Yeah.
very quick.
I feel like
Yeah.
everything does, though.
That's true. But it's an incredible burger. I don't think I've found a better burger
I mean,
ever.
we just went to S&B not too long ago. That's I really
I
like
like that
S&B.
place a lot.
Yeah, solid burgers. That's what S&B stands for. Solid burgers.
Solid and burgers.
Solid and burger.
My favorite. It's not in Oklahoma City, but it's in a suburb.
Doesn't count.
It's in El Reno. Sid's Burgers. Sid's Diner.
Isn't that one of the original, 3 that claim that they were the first onion burger?
I think so. And it's been on some of the Food Network shows and whatever. Anyway, it's when I was little, my mom lived in El Reno, which is if we have any listeners out there, I'm sorry that you live there. I don't mean to make fun of it, but
But you did.
it was a struggle. Wasn't a fan. But that place, Sid's Burgers, incredible. They're smaller.
I might have to make a trip.
Ooh, they are
But
good.
I really
even
don't
know
want
where
to go
El
there.
Reno is.
I don't know either.
It's 30 miles west.
No, that's
I was
not
going
so
to
bad.
say, it's just west of you guys.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
wanna go get a burger
Yeah, let's go grab Sid's.
right after this.
You guys there?
Yeah, maybe.
They open on
not.
the 18th.
Tucker's. What about? How do you feel about Tucker's?
See, I like Tucker's. I think they overcook the onions just a little bit, but I do
Ooh.
like.
I don't have that problem.
I
with my
do really
burgers.
like the flavor.
About bunnies.
I've never actually had bunnies. I've heard great things.
If you eat in there, you're just crying the whole time because the onions. It's just a small place and. Yep.
I think
we
for
just
like
avoid
meat,
the onions.
Yeah, I'm not sure
altogether.
what onions
if
are.
you're
so.
gonna
I don't know
change
why
the
you put
burger
those
up,
on a burger.
if you don't want to just do like a normal
So it makes
burger,
you
I
cry?
really think
I
the
guess.
garage. I like the
Garage
garage.
is
The garage
good
is
burgers.
the
solid
garage
food.
is good.
Yeah, they have good
So
burgers.
there's a bunch of places in Oklahoma you can try.
Yeah.
We got good burgers. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
From Michael Cage headphone scan at the Brody 2020. How much better do you think? How much better do you think's Steve's play can be with Russell back in the lineup. Some of those Adams post-ups were ugly.
That's a little true.
They were rough. He didn't look super confident.
I saw someone tweet about he was seen like outside of a restaurant downtown and like could barely get out of a truck.
Yeah, I think
like
that's a big part of it too. Is we didn't know if he was going to play until right before the game.
It was like
so how
very
healthy really
game
was
time.
it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, they did look bad.
I mean,
A lot of people are going to look better with Russ.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But okay, I think you can criticize Billy Donovan there a little bit if Steve wasn't 100%.
Just don't
play him.
And even if you decide to play him,
Limit
maybe
his
don't
minutes.
play him 36 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he still went out there and got 17 points, 11 rebounds. Like he had a decent game. He wasn't terrible or anything. But God, like it's game one. Like we're sitting here talking about it's game one. Don't overreact. Well, he also can't overreact and play Steve 36 minutes if he's not 100% healthy.
Yeah.
Or give him some help and put Nerlens in there as well.
Yeah.
Brought it back.
Yeah, I'm not going to get over it.
So do you expect? I mean, because
I
Rob-
think it's ridiculous that it didn't happen. Like I don't know. It just
there it
Fire
comes.
his
Yeah.
ass.
like I
No,
thought I thought it was going
it
to
out.
happen. Like I thought it was going to happen and it didn't. And the thing that irritates me the most about it is it seemed like the perfect situation. Like you got out rebounded by 13 in the game to a team that's not a great rebounding team. Like they're not in the top 15 of rebounding teams last season. And so
Yep.
I don't know.
I mean,
it's
that's
frustrating.
Most people think that's the Warriors' biggest weakness. And you
Right.
got beat because they beat you in what is supposed to be maybe your biggest strength
Right.
with their biggest weakness.
Put that camera back on me.
Dropping it.
Yeah.
Did you guys think the pick and roll was underutilized last night at all, especially with Adams?
Yeah.
I mean,
I just didn't
it didn't
see a
seem
whole
like
lot of it.
Schroeder
There
and
wasn't a
Adams
lot
were
of
able
it.
to get it kind of going.
Yeah,
I feel like they tried a couple times and it was just like awkward.
yeah.
Because I feel like the Warriors probably were like, well, this is the main thing that they're going to try and we're just going to blow it up.
And the Warriors are
And they're
gonna
the
be
damn Warriors.
You know,
I hate
but
'em.
one thing that I do
good.
like from last night is Draymond Green was not a very big factor. Like
Yeah.
He rebounded the ball well.
he did. He had 13 rebounds, 5 assists, just 2 points though, 1 for 6 from the field.
That's kind of
Look
his
at
game.
look a little pudgy though.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
according
look
to
a little
Chris,
pudge.
according to Chris Webber, you know, he was just running around trying to get his athleticism back under him.
That's
'cause he
how it
was
works.
injured. You
That's
know,
how it
'cause-
works.
Yeah.
He's just running around and the athleticism comes
Also,
back.
he didn't seem as like I don't like fiery or
Yeah.
like he didn't seem
Yeah,
as
he couldn't
into
breathe.
it. Maybe, yeah. Well played.
From JSmooth27 at JSmoothP27. Did OKC make a huge mistake by drafting T. Ferg over OG? So
Meaning OG Anunoby?
Yeah.
I mean, right now it feels like it was a mistake. I mean,
Only
even
because-
then it felt like it was a mistake. OG Anunoby was a known solid
Yeah.
player, and a lot of people thought he was going to be like a top 5, top 10 pick before he was hurt.
But also you look at where a guy is at too. I mean, it comes into what's expected of a player also. And so it's going to be hard for Ferguson to really shine. Like we had the 2 Lakers games basically where it looked
He looks
great.
real good in those.
Yeah, but it's also going to be hard because part of it is just going to be what's expected. But Ferguson definitely has to, in the moments where he gets the ball, he has to do more with it.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, we've got 2 about Russ not really playing, and
He
kind
hasn't
of
really
this-
played yet.
You know, he didn't really play.
He hasn't played a single time.
I would
yet.
say he didn't play any
All
minutes
year.
so far this season.
What an ass!
Or even in the preseason, he didn't even
He's
play.
supposed to be a team leader, and he's not even out there.
Yeah,
He's
really,
coaching, doing some coaching last
Really got to
night.
start
And some eating.
questioning.
And some eating.
Yeah.
I like both
Had
of
some
those.
snacks. That's what you want.
So,
Snacks.
anyways, kind of season outlook from Hamish McQuarren at Hamish McQuarren 0. How many games would this team without Westbrook win this season? That's a weirdly phrased thing.
You mean
How many games
If he
would-
wasn't there the whole
if
time.
Russ was just hurt the whole
worst
year?
worst case scenario?
Yeah, and then kind of parlaying off of that from Caleb Wall, take that for data at Caleb Wall Films. Could the Thunder make the playoffs without Russ?
No. I think they went around
I
like
say no.
37,
Not in the West.
Still in the
35
West?
games.
No way.
Because I think the Hawks
I think
with
that's a good
just
number.
Schroeder, I think they won like 24 games, and that's pretty much all they had.
But they didn't have Paul George. So.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
P
And then
gives
throw-
them like 12
Yeah,
wins.
Adams.
Exactly.
And Adams. And
Paul George gives him about 6. Adam gives him about 6.
Yeah.
Something like that.
so somewhere in there, like they get to like the 30s.
I'm right on there, 37ish.
There's no way they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's not
No.
happening.
That's crazy.
What if that was the?
You know what's funny? What I've noticed about Russ lately is that everyone recognizes how great of a player he is, but no one ever talks about why he's great, or no one ever points out good things about him. You know what I mean? Like,
They always got to talk the negative.
yeah, it's only negative things about him, and then like even when they're like Russell Westbrook is, like maybe an article will read off like it'll start off Russell Westbrook's a great player, but you know, but all these bad things about him. Like, why can't you just like? There's never any. No one
mean,
ever says anything good about him, really.
Back to Chris Webber. He said he's one of the hardest workers in the league. That's one of the only solid compliments I've heard about him.
That sounds like
lately.
something you say about someone that's not good at their job,
Right.
though. But yeah,
That's
but
weird.
he works hard.
Got that energy.
That's what Nick Collison's entire career was working really hard.
Yeah, Russ ain't Nick Collison.
No, absolutely not.
So much
Love
better.
Nick Collison, but no, they're not in the same stratosphere.
Thank
I
God.
I just had to get
Thank
that off
God
my
they're
chest
not.
because I've been
No,
reading like some of these NBA previews, and like when you see people write about Russ, it's just, and maybe that's just the fan in me. Maybe it's just bothering me a little bit, but
And I think he's one of those guys when people look back on him, to me, where they're going to go, oh shit, why
Right.
didn't we
I
like
agree.
this guy as much as
I
we
saw
should've?
something from old Darnell
What's his
on the
face?
Athletic, where he was saying that one of the questions was asked like, "What's a team that you're looking forward to watching?" And he said that it was the Thunder, but he kind of had a little slight at Russ whenever he said it. It was like he was going to try and enjoy Russ, even
Try?
though like the fans don't acknowledge his flaws, which I wonder if that is sort of national view of how, like, do the Thunder just
well, I
are
think
they just not recognizing? Because
bunch of crap, man.
Yeah, that's not what happens.
that's a bunch of like, what are we gonna do? Sit here and harp on Russ's flaws game
I'm
in
s-
and game out,
I'm
like
also-
everyone
yeah.
else does? Like,
Sorry, he's
positive
one of the greatest
reinforcement here,
players.
guys. Yeah, I mean, the guy is the reason why the Thunder have won most of the games they've won over the past few years, and a lot of the games before that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
He's a franchise guy. You don't sell him out like that. From Blake Llewellyn at Blake_Llewellyn, who made the biggest impact on you guys last night?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
I'm gonna say Schroeder. Just like
Interesting.
just mostly because he came in and kind of like dealt well with getting thrown on the fire. That was my point earlier. So
He's not scared, man.
yeah, I just like that he really stepped up to the occasion and had a great game.
I like that. Easy answer is Diallo, just
Knew you were gonna
because.
say it.
But that's not where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Noel. In
Nice.
limited 12 minutes, I thought that he was really impactful for those 12 minutes, and that just adds fuel to Rob's fire here, where he's
Play him
upset.
more, you know.
That's what I said it in the podcast a couple weeks ago, Jason, that I was worried how if you have a talent like Nerlens Noel, how are you going to be able to utilize him enough
Yep.
at the center position in today's
No,
NBA?
but it seems like Adams played a lot of minutes, more minutes than
Sure.
I think everybody on the podcast thought he would play
Definitely.
per game this
Oh, yeah.
year.
Definitely.
And he was Nerlens was so effective. Like it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go. I think I agree with Jason. It was Schroeder. I think you can we thought we knew what we were getting, and it's just nice to kind of have that verified that once he goes to the bench and is for the most part playing against lesser talent, it's going to get even better.
Yeah.
What about those Patterson post-ups though?
I will say this about Patterson: like he was aggressive, especially early.
Yeah.
Whenever they really needed it, because nobody else was really doing much.
I liked that about him. Like none of it went in to the orange thing.
Yeah.
Like he probably could have put the ball in the deal a little
Yeah.
better.
I
But
like
the
that.
fact that he actually shot it, like it was nice to see. Because I mean, last year you saw a lot of him just, passing the ball right back to Felton when he would get it, and at least he was, kind of being aggressive.
Right.
Um,
Felton was bad.
Oh, so
Felton was
Felton was
real
really bad. Felton was really bad, and
It was
honestly,
upsetting. to me.
Patterson's value is going to be hard to see without Russ, I think.
Yeah.
And
I agree
maybe
with that.
maybe this is just us continuing to make excuses for Patterson.
I'm real good at that, by the way. I love making excuses for him.
But I also think that maybe with Schroeder out there, Jamie Grant might make more sense as the starter with Schroeder, at least immediately until you figure out how to play with Patterson.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another day, though.
I'll go with a weird one. I'll go with the Abrinas.
I like that.
Just even though didn't shoot very well, but looked confident in his shot, put the ball on the
Aggressive.
deck, looked for lanes to attack. got that one really sweet layup that in traffic, nailed it.
Should've
His
dunked it.
defense looked better. I think he made exactly what we've been asking of him for like 2 seasons now. We just wanted to see that progression.
Yeah.
I think for the first time we saw more positive progression on the defensive side of the ball and a little bit more willingness to be that guy on the offensive side.
And being involved. That's the biggest thing is while he's out there, you have to use him offensively.
And I like the fact that when he does have the ball in his hands in transition, he puts it on the floor and he goes towards the basket and he doesn't force anything. If he doesn't have numbers, he dribbles it back out and he gets it to the point guard. He resets the offense. He's pretty smart offensively.
Yeah.
He really is. They need to utilize that.
I agree.
From Tim Rieger at it's backwards. It's Rieger, so it's a
Rieger
it's a
Mitt?
thing. Anyways, Rieger Mitt, that's also
Complicated.
Read it
Either
right.
way, I'm having a hard time with this. Didn't realize it was also backwards. During Summer League, there was talk of a new ball movement oriented playing style. Did you see that last night?
Justin, you don't have to read them how they're mistyped.
No, I do.
You can just correct them.
I
do.
like how we both have the same style of reading
I
the
do.
questions.
Say it again, please.
During Summer League, there was talk of a new ball movement oriented playing style. Did you see that last night?
Rob, this is one for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Because go ahead. I said it's for you, and then I was going to answer it.
So it's rough because you don't have Russ. That's why it's so different. I mean, I don't know how much you can actually put into, like I was saying earlier, the identity that they want, because obviously that's what they want. They want to work the high pick and roll. They want to dish it out to a shooter. If it's not there, they want to keep moving the ball around. Yeah, and maybe it is. But that's what they want to do, and it's just so much more difficult whenever your best player is not out there. I don't know that we can really gauge that after this game without Russ.
I do feel like they noticeably pushed the pace or attempted to.
Definitely did that.
They launched the ball up court sometimes after rebounds where I was almost I was like, stop! You're crazy right now.
Cameraman can't keep up. Quit it.
Obviously, when you're playing Golden State, you're going to play faster typically. But the pace was 103 last night, and that's, I don't know the Thunder's number from last year in my head, but I know that that's higher.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were below 100. So
Couldn't get it.
yeah. I want to say it was around 98, 99. Look, Carmelo Anthony's will dock a good 3 or 4 off your team
30 points.
right there. Are we about ready to get some notes?
That's it.
Yeah, let's get to some notes. Notes!
That was probably loud.
That
was loud.
That's all right. Hamidou Diallo has signed a multi-year shoe deal with Under Armour. Man,
Oh, really?
Hey, him and Fergie are with.
Really?
pretty impressive though. Second round pick already, 1 game into the year. This was actually before the game, I think. That
It was.
he gets a shoe deal.
See, what needs to happen is Hami and Ferg need to both get really good together, and then they can do commercials together. It'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Yep. Carmelo Anthony was interviewed by Rachel Nichols. He was asked if his mindset on coming off the bench has changed. He said, quote, well,
No.
No,
Nope.
I'm not coming off
I don't
that
think that would never change. I know, which
Huh?
doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
it doesn't.
I know what I can bring, and I know what I still can do, and I still have. So my confidence from that standpoint, yeah, I always have to say I don't want to come off the bench. But knowing that ahead of time and knowing and having those conversations and going game to game and understanding, okay, we might need you to do this tonight. We might need you to wait. We might need you to do that tonight. He said it twice. Sorry. I have a clearer understanding of what my role is. So does this mean that the Thunder weren't clear with, hey, we want you to come off the bench? Because I find that hard to believe.
It almost feels like to me we were trying to get him here, and we were just like, yeah, just come here and you can start and do whatever. We'll be fine. And then they thought it would just like work. And
Well, I
then
mean,
when it-
even after the fact, like even like
But
going into this season, if they weren't going to trade him away.
yeah, that is weird though.
No, but the difference. Well, I still think that the difference is it's probably a little easier to take because of Chris Paul, like him being in on those conversations, but also they had the entire offseason to sort of work through that. It wasn't something that was just right away, and he probably was like taken back a little bit because it was the first time it had happened and the first time the question had been asked.
So do you kind of think
In that
that
way,
this is kind
so-
of just him guarding, so to speak, and maybe he goes to Houston, he's like, man, they want me to come off the bench too, and
He's had a
I
whole
think
year.
everyone's going to
Like,
want me to come
At
off
this
the bench.
point, I've heard it so much.
He's
that
had
it-
he had
I
a
just
whole
have
year
to.
of hearing about it. I
Yeah.
think now it's just the realization has to be there,
Yeah.
and like, okay, so they
That-
weren't
that
the
ego's been
Thunder
chipped
weren't the
away.
only ones. So
Yeah. Well, and also I'm cool with him going there. So
he's a great guy though.
he's a great guy.
By the way,
Great guy.
Houston down 18.
Yeah,
headed
Getting
into
that
the
ass
fourth quarter.
kicked.
Kevin Durant posted a picture on Instagram last night after the game of the ring ceremony, and his brother Tony commented on the picture with,
not a
quote,
great guy.
"Yes, sir, brother, filling the hand up before we get out of here." Meaning
So-
filling
They
up
bounce
the
'em.
hand with rings before they're out of the bay.
So, I thought about this quite a bit today.
How much?
Interesting.
Quite a bit, actually.
Too
so
too
this
much.
is,
They're
yeah,
going-
no, too much to think about Kevin Durant. Like, I don't want to be some like Kevin Durant defender or apologist here, but I'm gonna go out here and say like some people that don't get enough blame from, especially from us as Oklahoma City fans, like this fan base, is Kevin Durant's entourage. Things changed when Kevin Durant signed with Rock Nation and like started letting his entourage really have an impact on what he thought, who he thought he was, his own self-worth. When they started getting in his ear and they started like kind of planting these seeds of, you know, FOKC and like let's go somewhere else. I think that's where things started to change. And when you see Tony Durant getting on Instagram and doing stuff like this, it only reinforces that idea that Kevin Durant kind of became like, he let his entourage do too much to himself and his own self-image and just really warped his own perception of what reality was. I think that's part of what went into the whole decision going to Golden State and everything. He might have done it regardless, but I don't think that entourage has been good for him, and I think that's why everything's been so vitriolic and just super caustic of a situation ever since he's gone there.
Well
Solid.
said. I'm glad you were able to get that out here.
Yeah,
It seemed
that
like
was
you've been
nice.
capping that one in
Just-
for a bit.
Yeah.
I like it. The Thunder's annual Thunder Run is set for December 29th,
Cool.
where there's a family fun run. It's
Cool.
1 mile. There's also 5K. I think that's Rob. What Rob?
Rob's
Yeah, I was gonna
he's
do
going to run it.
The 5Ks.
Yeah. Well, he was gonna see if they'll let him do a marathon.
So is that like 5 blocks?
yes.
Where you like
5,000 blocks. I think.
Jeez.
I don't know how it works.
Registration is open now, and coming with registration is a free ticket to the OKC Blue versus Canton Charge game later that night. So it's more like they're just trying to make you more mad that you. They're like, oh, you just ran? Now you got to go to a G League game.
You guys aren't season ticket holders for the Blue?
I will.
Negative.
I will
Yeah,
be.
okay.
A couple years.
I
I'm on the
want-
waiting list.
I really, really want to like really
Not
care.
go to.
No, I want to care.
Oh.
It's just
They're
it's hard.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah, we went to
Courtside.
Courtside Blues.
I mean, that
yeah.
could be fun.
That was fun. That was a good time.
The National Basketball Athletic Trainers Association announced it has named Dr. Carlin Yates the Thunder's head physician, the Physician of the Year for the 2017-2018 season.
That's pretty cool.
Yates is an orthopedic surgeon at McBride Orthopedic Hospital in OKC.
Great guy, and I would know. So
Love him.
he's
And last but not least, the
Dr.
Schroeder
Friends.
the Schroeder streak has returned.
Ooh, it's nice too.
Is it? What is it?
I don't know.
Looks like
A nice
What is
little
that?
wave of gold and blue.
it's interesting.
It's a
I'll
thing.
I'll give it
it's,
that.
It's a thing.
I'll give it that.
that's. I feel like that should have been the bet for you. In some way, we need a bet for you to copy Schroeder's hairstyle.
I gotta stop doing things to my body.
You think Schroeder's gonna leave at the end of the year?
You want to do this now? How are we doing this? All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Opolis Clothing here in Midtown Oklahoma City. Man, this place is awesome. Come check them out. You can see it here if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch. Some of like the best gear you're gonna find. Seriously,
Yeah.
Very cool shirts.
very comfy,
And
very cool.
They got a lot of. They got hoodies in here. They
Yeah,
got
they got
all
Hats.
sorts of stuff.
You can see the hat. Look at this one that's like paying homage to the Seattle Supersonics days, but it's more of a backhand. I feel like.
It's pretty nice.
Backhanded compliment.
Yeah,
I
there you
like
go.
it.
There you go. The Thunder visit the Clippers on Friday for another late one. I kind of hate starting the season with these late ones,
Ugh.
man. It's like, let me get acclimated to the season first before
Yeah.
you're keeping me up all
Perfect time
Hey-
for me because I don't have anything to do. So.
late. Yeah.
I got early meetings, right after
Yeah,
games.
not me.
Upsetting.
You know what's great though? There won't be a stupid ring ceremony that lasts for 30 minutes
Ah,
before
Good
I
point.
they
agree
tip
with
off.
that.
Good point. We will be back immediately following that game, Rob and I here, with an aftershock. So till then, and as always, wait, you know what? Sign us off, Justin.
I will,
In just a moment.
but you're just a chance I take to keep on dreaming.
I like it.
Thunder up.